숲이 한눈에 내려다 보이는 곳. 이곳을 지키는 사람들이 있습니다.
When I was growing up, there was a lot of elders around. One of the things that they say is going to happen is that the world will burn.
생명을 위협하는 거대한 산불. 인간을 무력하게 만드는 화막.
The first fire lookouts had to be First Nations people because we were the only one here.
넓은 국토를 가진 캐나다에서 없어서는 안 되는 산불 감시원. 그들의 삶을 들여다봅니다.
I always climbed.
작품 속 이들은 대부분 평범한 이유로 이 일을 시작하게 되었는데요.
I came out here to visit a friend who was working as a fire lookout and kind of check it out. And I was really interested in taking over the position.
도시와 떨어진 외딴 곳에서 홀로 일을 해야 하는 이들이 필연적으로 마주하는 감정이 있습니다.
The idea of isolation, it's an interesting concept because I think everyone gets lonely in life at some point. If you're in your head, you know, that's going to be quite isolating. But as soon as, you know, you kind of step out into what is offered at the lookout, then it's not really that lonely. I mean,
이들에게 필요한 것은
I think you kind of have to grow into learning how to lean on yourself.
넓은 시야 속에서 내면의 풍경을 마주하죠.
There's so many wild creatures out here, right? We're totally not alone.
이 생활이 마냥 고독한 것만은 아닙니다.
I woke up and when I opened the front door, I hit a black bear's butt. And it was almost like a cartoonish thing.
이따금 찾아오는 야생동물들이 그들의 친구가 되어주기도 하는데요.
And I screamed and I ran inside in the opposite direction.
I had a deer come in, though, and eat the strawberry leaves.
이런 특별하고 환상적인 순간은 도심 속에서는 결코 누리지 못하는 것들이죠.
They're really meaningful and they're really magical, right? Because you kind of acknowledge these sentient creatures that you're sharing this neighborhood with. It's pretty unique, and I think the fact that you're by yourself, those interactions become just a little bit more memorable.
그렇다고 이곳이 늘 평온하지는 않습니다.
If I give you a bearing and distance, could you check whether there was lightning strike? I have a bearing of 244 degrees and 30 minutes.
오랜 경력을 가진 이에게도 잊혀지지 않는 순간이 있죠.
I recall the wildfire in high level in 2019 to be the most dangerous, dramatic, and threatening wildfire in all my years. We have a massive wildfire just west of me.
이 산불은 가장 위험하고 긴박했던 대형 산불 중 하나였는데요.
You know, the end of days, you know, apocalyptic wildfire. Helpless you are in the face of Mother Nature.
We have to report the first strike out of every lightning storm that comes overhead. So chances are you have to ride the storm.
숲의 평화로움과 달리 대자연 앞에 무력해지는 순간.
You almost have to experience it to know what the word scared is.
극과 극의 감정을 마주해야 합니다.
There was lightning fires. They were early lightning fires. In a 24-hour period, we had multiple new starts.
예상할 수 없는 기후 변화로 대부분의 감시원이 이런 사건을 경험하죠.
And a column of smoke rising and falling on me downwind. I was like wearing something on my face and just trying to see through the tunnel of smoke to catch new starts.
I think I have a very great
극한의 생활을 이어가면서도 그들은 자신의 직업에 큰 사명감을 느끼고
the property of people down here, whether I know them or not.
자신의 직업을 사랑합니다.
Here, I never lose sight of the fact of how lucky I am to part of my work to be able to look out every day, especially when it's nice, sunny, calm weather, on this very scenic area.
One of my favorite things that I've learned at Fire Tower is that the level of aloneness teaches you that
I will miss it terribly when I leave. Because it's been 23 years.
아무도 귀 기울이지 않는 것들을 지키려 노력하는 사람들.
A few years after the fire, the landscape starts to rebuild itself.
자연을 존중하고 지키려 애쓰는 이들.
And that brings in like rabbits and lynx. So it kind of rejuvenates the land and the animals. Well, I hope this planet is around for my great-great-grandchildren to enjoy, and I hope there's fish in the creek, and in the future, people will develop more respect for the land and work on different ways to adapt to this changing world.
산불 감시원의 이야기였습니다. 식민주의적 과거를 청산하려는 전 세계적 흐름 속 작품은 우리를 역사로 초대합니다.
The statue of Cecil John Rhodes was offensive to glorify a racist colonizer.
패망한 일본군이 물러난 뒤 독립을 선언한 인도네시아. 이 상황 속 실질적인 식민지 회복을 노렸던 네덜란드.
War II, the Dutch started this new war against the Indonesians.
네덜란드는 전쟁의 여파로 미국의 원조를 받아 겨우 본토를 수습하고 있었고
Nederland was angstig dat men Nederland niet kon herstellen na de Tweede Wereldoorlog zonder de inkomsten uit Indië.
독립을 선언한 인도네시아를 재침략하기에 이릅니다.
The Dutch colonial empire, and they worried that without Indonesia, the Netherlands might become just a third-rate European power.
그렇게 남겨진 과거의 그림자.
It is the biggest war the Dutch ever committed troops to. And it was very quickly swept under the carpet.
Van een historische doofpot, de werkelijke geschiedenis falsificeren.
Op 25 maart 1947 werd met de Republiek Indonesië de overeenkomst van Linggadjati getekend. Doch bij de uitvoering der verschillende bepalingen bleek dat het zelfs niet mogelijk was een eerste basis.
네덜란드는 1947년 경찰 활동이라는 이름으로 인도네시아의 전면적인 공격을 시작합니다.
Als je een oorlog begint, dan wil je dat toch zo positief mogelijk voor het voetlicht brengen. Dus dan is het toch al gauw dat je mensen gaat helpen.
역사학자들은 전쟁이 아닌 경찰 활동이라는 네덜란드의 프레이밍에 주목합니다.
Hier komen de Nederlandse jongens als bevrijders binnen. Gaan de bevolking daar helpen. En dat is het beeld wat de regering natuurlijk ook het liefst wilde schetsen.
Bo is de beste die hospik van ons. U moet hem eens bezig zien.
The Dutch were aware that the representation of war was as important as war militarily. And they produced a fiction, which was that the war was a humanitarian project.
De dienst legercontacten is opgericht door generaal Spoor, omdat Spoor heel goed wist hoe belangrijk de media waren.
네덜란드 정보국은 언론을 통제, 군의 검열을 통해서만 사진과 메시지를 보도했는데요.
Het is heel belangrijk het beeld wat in die bladen aanwezig is over dit conflict, over deze oorlog. Met een palmboom op de achtergrond. Ja, als dat je zoon is, dan denk je, nou, dat ziet er wel leuk uit. Dat zit allemaal wel relaxed, toch?
이들의 체계적인 프레이밍은 경찰 활동이라는 단어에서도 알아볼 수 있습니다.
Als je spreekt van een politionele actie, dan heb je het over een binnenlandse aangelegenheid.
Dan is het zogenaamd de politie die optreedt.
Apabila menggunakan military agresi, maka ini sama dengan invasi ke sebuah negara yang sudah merdeka.
En dat heeft juridische consequenties, want
법적인 책임을 지지 않기 위해 전쟁이라는 단어를 기피해 왔죠.
Dat is decennia lang zo gebleven.
학자들은 네덜란드군을 강하게 비판합니다.
is het vaak zo dat de bemoeienis moet worden voorkomen van de internationale gemeenschap.
네덜란드가 링가르자티 협정을 깨고 전면 공세를 실시한 1947년 7월, 유엔을 비롯한 국제사회가 이 전쟁을 주목하기 시작합니다.
I mean, this is the very place where critical meetings took place over independence and essentially over who would rule the Indonesian islands.
At the end of the 19th century, we began to regain our soul and gave birth to a national movement which aimed at freedom from Dutch colonial rule.
걷잡을 수 없이 커진 전쟁에 국제적인 주목을 받는 와중에도 네덜란드는 쉽게 식민 지배를 포기하지 않았는데요.
I ask you, gentlemen, Whom now do you want to help? These people or the decent citizens?
Een van de dingen die natuurlijk interessant is om jezelf af te vragen is wat voor samenleving.
학자는 당시 식민지 사회에 대해 네덜란드의 식민 지배가 어떻게 이루어졌는지 이야기합니다.
Slotte zijn de Indonesiërs met de racistische term inlander. Op basis van achtergrond heb je meer of minder rechten. Er zijn dus verschillende wetboeken ook. En er is een wetboek voor Nederlanders en een apart wetboek voor de inlander. Met vele repressieve maatregelen, met onzekerheid. Om die reden Nederlands-Indië categoriseren koloniale politiestaat. En een koloniale politiestaat, dat is geen rechtsstaat.
그 시기 네덜란드 식민지의 경위를 표한 책이 발간된 적이 있는데요.
Die Nederlandse kolonie.
그들이 식민지국 국민에 대해 표현한 내용은 경이로울 만큼 충격적으로 다가옵니다.
In de eerste plaats, de primitieve mens denkt anders. Levend uit een magische gedachtenwereld ziet hij de volgorde van oorzaak en gevolg niet als wij, beheerst door natuurwetenschappelijke factoren. Nee, goden en geesten grijpen ieder ogenblik daarop beslissend in. Ja, voor die eenvoudige, meer bij de natuur in de buurt levende inlanders. Ja, die hebben een ander rechtssysteem nodig. Het moet je eigenlijk voor hen doen ook zelfs. Het is beter voor ze.
Our action was taken to end the anarchy into which the Republican Revolution was developing.
유엔의 첫 중재 이후 이어진 각국 대표의 인터뷰에서도 네덜란드의 입장을 엿볼 수 있는데요.
With this present self-appointed Republican government, it is unable to provide anything like a regular administration.
The Republic of Indonesia has been functioning with an independent government for over 2 years.
Republican leaders say they can't trust your government on the independence question.
Our promises of independence were made by a large majority of a freely elected Dutch parliament. We have, I think, a good record of doing what we undertake to do.
The path of Dutch colonial history is strewn with broken promises. We wanted to submit our differences with the Dutch to arbitration, as called for by the Linggadjati Agreement. But the Dutch repeatedly refused our requests, tore up the Linggadjati Agreement, and 1 hour later launched a full-scale attack on us.
The Republic of Indonesia asks, therefore, that the Security Council of the United Nations order the complete withdrawal of Dutch troops from all Republican territories.
If you, gentlemen, take upon yourselves the dreadful responsibility of supporting this Republican government as now constituted.
The Dutch were stubborn, the Dutch were inflexible, the Dutch were unwilling to bow to a process that was inevitable. French had successfully used the frame of communism in their appeal for U.S. support.
당시 미국 입장에서 인도네시아의 공산화는 최악의 결과였고 네덜란드도 이를 이용하려 했지만
de situatie toch nog ten gunste van Nederland kunnen keren.
인도네시아 초대 대통령 수카르노가 공산당을 모두 처형하며 이 또한 실패로 돌아갔는데요.
Sukarno zegt van ik ben helemaal geen communist, ik ben een nationalist.
In juni 1949 komen er ronkende krantenkoppen, waaronder top Indonesian Reds executed by the Republic.
That put the Republic of Indonesia in a very good light. It made it awfully hard for the Dutch to maintain that the Republic of Indonesia was going to become a communist regime. It embarrassed the Dutch very greatly.
이 사건은 중립이었던 미국의 향후 행보에 큰 영향을 끼쳤습니다.
The United States might need to withdraw Marshall Plan aid unless the Netherlands made an immediate commitment to Indonesian independence. You know, a famous political scientist decades ago said that the best definition of power is getting someone to do something that they wouldn't otherwise do.
Some people don't agree with me, but I think it was a real UN victory, you know.
It was difficult for the United States to reconcile itself to a new world that was being born. Just An anecdote that may speak volumes about that, if I can use a word that is an ugly word and often isn't even uttered in the United States, when Walter Foote, the consul general, had a farewell party when he was leaving Jakarta, he said with tears in his eyes, something to the effect that how tragic it is that we're leaving this beautiful country to niggers.
그렇게 1949년 12월 27일 공식적으로 독립전쟁이 종료되었는데요.
27 december 1949. Een dag van ingrijpende betekenis in de geschiedenis van het Koninkrijk der Nederlanden. Op deze dag wordt in Amsterdam de soevereiniteit over Indonesië overgedragen.
그로부터 20년 후
Meneer Huting, u stelt dat Nederlandse militairen oorlogsmisdaden hebben begaan in Indonesië.
참전 용사들이 인터뷰를 통해 당시 네덜란드군이 저지른 전쟁 범죄에 대해 폭로하고
Aan oorlogsmisdaden, ik heb ze zien verrichten. Er zijn vreselijke dingen gebeurd daar. Vreselijke dingen. Dat er verhoren plaatsvonden waarbij op een afschuwelijke manier gemarteld werd.
Tijdens de vlucht is hij doodgeschoten.
Dat er wraakacties gehouden werden waarvan even minder militaire noodzaak in te zien was.
Alles platgebrand werd en vooral de mannelijke bevolking dus werd doodgeschoten.
Was daar nou een militaire reden voor?
Militaire noodzaak was het natuurlijk beslist niet.
인터뷰가 공개되자 국제사회가 다시 이 전쟁을 주목하게 되었죠.
Die de Nederlandse troepen in Indonesië zijn gepleegd, heeft een stroom van reacties tevoorschijn geroepen.
하지만 당시 네덜란드 정부는 네덜란드군의 전쟁 범죄를 인정하지 않았습니다.
Deze mensen die in alle eer en deugd hun plicht hebben gedaan.
In 1971, Karel Polak, minister van Justitie, met de verjaringswet komt. Die zorgt ervoor alle oorlogsmisdaden verjaren nooit meer, behalve die wij als Nederlanders zelf hebben gepleegd in Indonesië. Die zegt oorlogsmisdaden, dat is iets wat door de tegenstander wordt gepleegd. Ja, dat is natuurlijk een...
이후에도 네덜란드의 전쟁 범죄에 대한 논란이 이어지곤 했는데요.
Ik spreek niet meer van oorlogsmisdrijven, maar van excessen.
Oh, ik heb de term oorlogsmisdrijven niet volledig geschrapt. Het staat in het einde van die paragraaf.
2000년대에 들어서면서 네덜란드는 당시 전쟁 범죄에 대한 사과를 이어갔지만
Hij heeft niet eens de tijd gehad om dat onderzoek te lezen. En diezelfde dag biedt hij al zijn excuses aan.
Voor het stelselmatige en wijdverbreide extreme geweld van Nederlandse zijde in die jaren en het consequent wegkijken door vorige kabinetten maak ik vandaag namens de Nederlandse regering diepe excuses aan de bevolking van Indonesië.
Sorry. You just say sorry, tapi secara hukum it doesn't have any implication.
식민 지배 보상에 대한 갈등은 현재까지도 진행 중에 있습니다.
Het gaat om het onderliggende feit of je wel of niet erkent dat er iets gebeurd is wat fout was, waarvoor je ook bereid bent de consequentie te nemen.
Dus bij een excuses hoort ook een inhoud van een excuses?
Hoort precies, ja. En we zijn helaas op dit moment, nou spreek ik toch ook een beetje als oud-politicus, niet in staat om die financiële consequentie te accepteren. Ik bedoel, die is zo omvangrijk dat kan de staat der Nederlanden gewoon niet aan.
그리고 작년 네덜란드는 인도네시아의 첫 독립선언을 인정한다고 밝혔지만
Nederland erkent 17 augustus volledig en zonder voorbehoud. Wij zien de proclamatie eigenlijk als het historische feit.
씁쓸한 사실을 마지막으로 작품은 끝을 맺습니다. 2024년 제21회를 맞이한 EBS 국제 다큐영화제 EIDF 상영작 중 주목할 만한 작품을 소개해드렸는데요. 캐나다의 산불 감시원의 이야기를 생생하게 담아낸 산불 전망대 위에서 네덜란드의 어두운 유산을 폭로하고 식민 지배의 역사를 담은 탐욕의 식민전쟁입니다. 리뷰 특성상 모든 내용을 담지 못하는 것이 정말 아쉽다는 생각이 들 정도로 훌륭한 작품성을 가진 두 작품이었는데요. 오늘 소개해드린 다큐멘터리는 지금 바로 U+TV에서 만나보실 수 있으며 남겨드린 링크를 통해 빠르게 만나보실 수 있습니다. 드림텔러였습니다.